ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. On the Day of Judgment, when everyone will be presented in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَبَرَزُوا لِلَّهِ جَمِيعًا, standing in the open in front of Allah. People at that time will be forced to think that, why was it that we went astray? What was it that took us in the direction that we ended up in? And they will then see those people that they used to copy and follow and realize that it was these people who led us down this path. So they will approach them. And most of the time, as is the case with the phenomenon of leaders and followers in the world, leaders are usually influential people. They're people who have a certain kind of pride, a certain type of conceit, and that actually attracts some people. People who have a weaker self-concept, lower self-morale, or because they don't have the means and the resources, they're constantly looking for someone to lean on, someone who has all of that. So because of this, most of the time, those people that are followed, people that gain popularity or people that are followed, are people with a certain type of haughtiness and a certain type of conceit and pride. Those that are weak in their own self-concept, in their own self-morale, will find themselves pulled towards these people. So, the difference between the leaders and the followers often translates to the difference between people who have pride and conceit and those that are weak within themselves. And this is how the Quran portrays it. فَقَالَ الضُّعَفَاءُ لِلَّذِينَ اسْتَكْبَرُوا. Those who are weak, they considered themselves to be weak, or they maintained a weak position in dunya, they will address those who had the high profiles and sort of look down at everyone else. إِنَّا كُنَّا لَكُمْ تَبْعًا. We were your followers. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُغْنُونَ مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُغْنُونَ عَنَّا مِنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Can you do anything for us to reduce or remove some of the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today? At that time, these proud people will say, لَوْ هَدَانَ اللَّهُ لَهَدَيْنَاكُمْ. Thing is that we were not guided ourselves in dunya. We had never taken the path to guidance ourselves. If Allah had guided us in dunya, then we could have guided you in turn. But we were not guided ourselves. We were on a path and we thought we had the right to be followed. And at the end, the gains of people following us came back to us. We benefited from people following us. And that was all it was about. It was about us benefiting from our followers. So now, whether we lose our composure and panic or we remain patient, it doesn't matter. Now there's nothing but punishment. سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْنَا جَزِعْنَا أَمْ صَبَرْنَا مَا لَنَا مِن مَحِيصٍ. There's nowhere for any of us to go. We're all in this together. So this is one type of conversation, and these conversations will be many on the Day of Judgment. In numerous places in the Quran, this discussion is mentioned. In one place in Surah Al-Baqarah, إِذْ تَبَرَّأَ الَّذِينَ اتُّبِعُوا مِنَ الَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوا وَرَأَوُا الْعَذَابَ وَتَقَطَّعَتْ بِهِمُ الْأَسْبَابُ وقال الذين اتبعوا لو أن لنا كرة فنتبرأ منهم كما تبرأوا منا كذلك يريهم الله أعمالهم حسرات عليهم وما هم بخارجين من النار. when these followers will go to those leaders and say, hey, wait a minute, it's because of you that we got stuck. These leaders will say, no, we don't have anything to do with you. They will disown those people. They will completely detach themselves from any kind of affiliation with those people, because these people are going to hold them accountable on the Day of Judgment. It's because of you that we ended up here. So they'll say, no, we don't know you, we don't have anything to do with it. Look, if you followed us, that was by your choice. It wasn't by us doing, we had no influence over you. So this fight will be taking place. Then the followers will express their frustration. لَوْ أَنَّ لَنَا كَرَّةً, if only we had a chance to go back into dunya, فَنَتَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُمْ, we would unaffiliate ourselves. We would distance ourselves from them, just like they have distanced themselves from us today. But is any of this of any use? كَذَلِكَ يُرِيهِمُ اللَّهُ أَعْمَالَهُمْ حَسَرَاتٍ عَلَيْهِمْ. At the end of the day, whose choice was it to follow? It was the followers' choice to follow. That was their act. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show them the consequences of their act, حَسَرَاتٍ عَلَيْهِمْ, to increase the regret. Part of the punishment of Jahannam is going to be the remorse and the regret, that emotional and psychological torment that supplements the physical torment. In another place, when the people who followed will see that we followed and followed and followed right into Jahannam, so they will appeal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَقَالَتْ أُخْرَاهُمْ لِأُولَاهُمْ رَبَّنَا هَؤُلَاءِ أَضَلُّونَا فَآتِهِمْ عَذَابًا ضِعْفًا مِنَ النَّارِ. Oh Allah, these people should get double punishment. They're the ones who brought us here. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, قَالَ لِكُلٍّ ضِعْفٌ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Everyone gets double the punishment. Yani everyone's punishment is punishment. It doesn't matter. Double the punishment, single the punishment. Everyone will get their fair share. لِكُلٍّ ضِعْفٌ. Everyone's punishment will be multiplied according to the severity of their deed. So then these people who the followers are chasing after and trying to get a heavier sentence, they will say, فَمَا كَانَ لَكُمْ عَلَيْنَا مِنْ فَضْلٍ. You see, it didn't make a difference. You ended up in the same place as us. Now the head of this entire movement, the founder of the movement of leading people astray, Iblis himself. Of course, if everyone else is being pulled, how could Iblis be let off the hook? So once everyone whose final destination is Jahannam has entered there, a pulpit of fire will be erected for Iblis, upon which he will sit and address all his followers. He is the ultimate leader of all of those people, and everyone who is after him is a follower. Think of it like, you know how you have multi-level marketing companies? That you're building your profile based on how many people, how many clients you get, and then based on how many clients they get and how many clients they get. So this is the person who's at the top of that pyramid scheme. So of course all the sins are accumulating in his account. He gets his sin and the sin of everyone who sins because of him. So وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ. Once all people have reached their final destinations, he will say, "O my followers, O people who have ended up here because of my work, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعَدَ الْحَقِّ." Today you've seen with your own eyes that every promise of Allah was true. Everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the rewards for every good deed, you've seen people getting those rewards. The punishment for every bad deed. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Every promise of Allah, you've seen it now with your own eyes that it was true. وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ. And you've also seen my promises. فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ. Now you have seen that every one of my promises was a lie. I also made many promises to you. Allah made promises to you, every one of them became true. I made many promises to you, I broke every single one of them. Every promise that told you that if you commit that sin, there will be this advantage, this success, this gain, every one of them was a fraud. It was all a lie. He will openly give this statement. Everything I did was simply to get the maximum amount of people with me here in Jahannam. So, then he will go on to say that I didn't force you. I had no way to force you. I had no power over you. وَمَا كَانَ لِيَ عَلَيْكُم مِّن سُلْطَانٍ. I had absolutely no control over any of you. I could not ever make anyone sin. Allah simply did not give me that power. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him when he was expelling him from Jannah, when he was expelling him from the heavens, إِنَّ عِبَادِي لَيْسَ لَكَ عَلَيْهِمْ سُلْطَانٍ. You will never have any authority, any control over my slaves, إِلَّا مَنِ اتَّبَعَكَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ وَإِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ لَمَوْعِدُكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Yes, those who choose to follow you, they will choose to follow you. But you have no control. You do not have the power to make someone do anything. So shaitan will reiterate that. I had no power over you. I had no control over you. إِلَّا أَن دَعَوْتُكُمْ. All I was doing was inviting you through all the means that I had. I was inviting you. Sometimes I was getting inside your head and making you think the thoughts that I wanted you to think. Sometimes I was using someone else to plant those thoughts in your mind. Sometimes I was creating an environment around you to make you feel compelled to sin. Sometimes I was bringing in your head advantages, so-called made-up advantages of sinning. Sometimes I told you that if you do such and such thing, it will solve your problems. If you kill Yusuf or get rid of him, it will solve your problems. If you kill your brother, in the case of Habil and Qabil, if you kill your brother, your problems will be solved. For someone else it was another sin. For someone else it was another sin. And he said, I knew all the tricks. ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. Allah says, he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I am going to go around from every direction, every angle that I possibly can. I will find an angle on everyone, against every single one of them. I will figure out which angle works with this person. I'll figure out exactly what that sin is that I can get this person to do, and I will figure out exactly how to get them to do it. I will do that for them. And I will be waiting for them on the straight path. ثُمَّ لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. I'll be waiting on that straight path. Anyone who tries to walk on that path, I will be there to deviate them. I will be there to distract them. So that's what he does. He distracts. He puts up smoke screens. He plays games with mirrors, reflections, images, illusions. Gets us to think what he wants us to think. Gets us to believe what he wants us to believe. Gets us to gain interest in what he wants us to be interested in. Gets us to lose interest in anything that will take a person to Jannah. He makes it tiring for us. Makes it exhausting for us. He makes it boring for us. He makes it frustrating for us. He creates fights amongst us. He gives us 1,000 reasons why we should not do that good deed. He's a master at it. He is a da'i. He knows how to invite. So he will say, إِلَّا أَن دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. Look at you, poor people. I invited and you came running. Like you were waiting for someone to do this for you. How naive you were. How foolish you were. You thought that all of that was actually true. فَلَا تَلُومُونِي. Don't blame me. وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Blame yourselves. You're the ones that the prophets were sent to. You're the one who got all the teachings. You're the one who got all the signs. You're the ones who got all the reminders. You got everything that you needed to be guided, and still you listen to me of all people? When Allah told you that I'm condemned, and Allah told you what deviance is, Allah told you what His punishments are, still you listen to me? How foolish you are. Don't blame me. Look, I took on a mission and I completed it. Allah also gave you a mission. Did you complete your mission or not? No, you all failed. وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Blame yourselves. مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِي. Today, I can't save you and you can't save me. And as far as all of those stories, all the mushrikeen, all those people who Shaitan got to ascribe partners to Allah, he says, by the way, just in conclusion, إِنِّي كَفَرْتُ بِمَا أَشْرَكْتُمُونِي مِنْ قَبْلِ. Every act of shirk that I made you do, I never believed in any of that myself, by the way. Just so you know, it's all fake. So, these conversations are about to happen. And either we can save ourselves from them by deciding that we are not going to be a part of any of those things. We are not going to be a follower of anything that leads us even slightly away from the path of Allah. Even slightly away from the pleasure of Allah. Even slightly makes us compromise our deen, because behind it is a bigger trick of shaitan. He doesn't get everyone to give up all their deen all of a sudden. That's why that question that we ask, oh, is it haram? Tell me if it's haram. This person has already been pulled by shaitan all the way to the ledge. It's just about to topple over. Because the only thing he sees is what's haram. He doesn't see all the games that have been played with him or her to get them to that point. Anything that makes us compromise our deen is something that is coming through shaitan. So we need to ask ourselves that not at this level, but let's say I was to continue doing this. What lies behind it? If I were to start doing this, what lies behind it? If I were to do this once, what would be the outcome in the long term? What would this make me think next? Is this going to make me think of getting closer to Allah? Or is this going to make me think of moving further away from Allah? Those are all questions we can all ask. And the time to ask those questions is now. And the time to choose what we follow and whom we follow is now. After this, once our eyes close, there is nothing but either happiness or regret. So this month of Ramadan, respected brothers and sisters, this is a month of making serious decisions for ourselves, not just for now, for these days and nights, but for the rest of our lives. We need to think of the bigger picture. We need to think of the final outcome. One day all of us will be standing there. Where do we want to be? What kind of situation would we like to be in? Who do we want to be grouped with? Who would we want to be standing? Do we want to be standing beside those people who will be accusing and they'll be disowning us? Or do we want to be standing with those people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought under the shade of His arsh? Those people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blessing in dunya and blessing on that day. Those are decisions that we have to make. That's why in every aspect of our lives, we need to be reflective and think, whose lifestyle is this close to? If it's close to the lifestyle of an-nabiyyin, as-siddiqeen, as-shuhada, as-salihin, if this is the way those people did this, then I'm on the right track. But if the way I'm doing it is slightly different, then this could be a wedge to pull me further and further and further away from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the straight path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to walk on. So lots of thinking to do on these nights and during these days while we're fasting, while our bellies are empty of food, and thereby the distractions that come with it. There is so much we can think and plan for ourselves. And every bit of that reflection will be a source of light for us and happiness for us on the Day of Judgment. And every day that passes where we don't reflect, it could be potentially a source of regret for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take us into His mercy and enshroud us with His forgiveness And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pardon our mistakes and our slips and errors. And may Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to reset our course so that we are on the straight path and heading directly towards Him. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us and our progenies from the ploys and the tricks and the plots of shaitan through which he takes us off of the straight path. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.